Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is the video number 4 in the SAS playlist. Okay, so in this video we are going to cover date handling in SAS, which is extremely important for real world data analysis because dates are very sensitive. Okay, and you can see already that I have opened the SAS University Edition, which is free of cost, so you can also Google on the SAS website free edition and you will get it. Okay, so you can learn everything free of cost. Okay, now let's get back to the video. So in this video we are going to cover about the dates which I already mentioned to you, right? So we'll start with the date formats, then we'll use the INTNX and INTCK, which are the most important date functions in SAS. Move to cutoff logic, and then finally learn how to calculate the tenure and everything, because tenure is something which is again very important. So let's get started. Okay, so we'll create a SAS program, but before that, when you are creating a sample data set with, let's say, the joining dates or the transaction of a customer, okay, so we will also learn now using the code. So let's move on to the sample code first, then I'll explain it to you that how this works. So basically you can see there is an employee data set. So this is the data of employees of the company. Then you have the input statement, which is like used to take the variables. So first variable is employee ID, which is again a character. Then you have the joining date, and for joining date I'm using the in format as ddmmyy10 dot, because the length of the date is 10. So all of you can see that. Then you have the transaction date, again the same format. So this is my data set, and data lines is used to take the input, and you have the format which is telling the SAS that how you want to represent the data in the output, what format you want of the data. So I'm just giving the format for both the dates, the same format in which I'm taking the input. There are several other formats also, like date 9 dot and all, so you can use that as well, but for this example let's keep it. Now you're putting the data, here is the data. So you can see employee ID 101, E2 102, E103, and then the joining date and the transaction date. Then I'm just using a proc print to print the employees. Now if I run this piece of code, this will simply print the data. Okay, all of you can see this. So SAS stores date as a number, okay, and the day starts since 1 Jan 1960. Okay, so 1st January 1960 is considered as the day 0 for SAS date calculations. So what does that mean? It means anything before that date is considered in minus. Anything which is after that date is considered as plus if you don't give the format in format. Okay, now if I remove this format statement, so let me just cut this format statement. Okay, now we don't have a format. Let me run this code. So all of you can see the dates has been totally changed, right? Just look at these columns. So these are the numbers now. Now I'll just go back to the code and I paste the format again. And let's try to change date 9 dot. Now date 9 dot is a separate format. Now you'll see this date and this date in output will totally look like different. Okay, so that's the fun with SAS. Now let me run this piece of code. You can see. So now you can see the month. Okay, now what is the length of this whole date? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that 9 dot is the length. Okay, so let's keep it date 9. Okay, it doesn't much changes anything, right? It doesn't change. So now you understood the basics of the dates, right? Date starts with 0. 1 January 1960 is considered as 0. Anything before that is minus. Anything after that is plus 1. Then now let's move on to something important. INTNX. So let's talk about INTNX first. So basically this is a date shifting function used in SAS. INTNX is used to shift dates by a specific interval. Interval can be days, month or years. Anything can be the interval. I give you one example. So basically, if you see here, so I created a data using the name, the INTNX underscore demo. I'm just using this name as a dataset name. Then I'm just setting the employees, which I just created. Now you see the output of the employees, right? There are 3 observations in that. Then I'm creating another variable next month, INTNX, when they will do the transaction. So I'm talking about that. And what is the basic interval I'm using. The interval here is the month, because this is the format: INTNX, then the interval, then the variable, and then how much interval. So 1 month I'm taking, so it will move forward the transaction date 1 month ahead. Simple. Then I'm just giving the format again, ddmmy 10 dot. So now you'll see the output will change for all these employees. So basically somebody asked me that what would be the another transaction date for all of these employee. So this is the code you need to write. Let me run this piece of code. So you can see, okay, the date format is changed again, mmddy by 10 dot. So if you see the transaction date here, it's showing 15 March. So after 1 month, okay, after 1 month, it's showing the starting date of that month. Now, if I want to simplify it a bit more for your understanding, because some of you may get confused. So let's do one thing. Let's keep this format static for all the dates. So you will see the dates in the same format now. Okay. Now let me run whole code, quickly running the whole code. So you see transaction date for this month. This is March. Now the next transaction of them will be in April. For this person, third person, you see the transaction date was already in April. Now for the next transaction, it will be in May. Make sure you are noticing one thing, that it's picking the start date of the month. Okay, because we are not defining that anywhere, so it will give you the first date of that month. That's why this function is like bit tricky to understand, but you should remember that on the basis of a fixed interval, it gives you the date. Okay. Now let's move on to the next important function, that is INTCK. INTCK is used to calculate the difference between two date, or it basically calculate the difference between two date intervals. Okay. Now let's do that by using an example. So you will see the difference. So I'm creating another data set, INTCK demo, and then again setting the same employees, the older data set, and then new variable INTCK. You see the format here. Okay. The difference in the format here, I was giving this 1. Okay. Here I am giving the joining date and transaction date. So basically two dates. Here I was giving the interval, that after 1 month, before 1 month, after 6 months, before 6 months, or anything. Let me give you one more example, realistic example. So I visited to a dentist. Okay. For example, now dentist said you need to come after 4 months. So how I'll calculate the date after 4 months? Just think about it. You will use INTNX. Okay. Then there is a scenario that I went to the dentist, and then I had 2 visits. So somebody tells me that, can you tell me how many month gap you took between those 2 visits? So you will use INTCK. Okay. Now let's see, run INTCK. One more thing, that you can see month difference also. Okay. Then you can see the year difference also. As I told you that both these works on the interval, it can be year, it can be month, anything. So here I showed you one extra row for the interval, which is your years. Okay. That's why now you should understand basically that how these dates are functioning. Okay. So both these functions should be clear to you. It gives INTCK, again I will repeat that, it gives the count between 2 months or year or 2 intervals. Okay. It's very important to understand. Now let's talk about cutoff logic. So cutoff logic in commonly every sector it is used basically. So in banking, analytics, everywhere. For example, we may want to shift a transaction to next month. If that day is, let's say, after 25th of that month, how you will do that? So for that, you will need to use this code. So I'm creating a data set using employee again, and then if the day, remember day is the function of transaction, I'm picking only the day from the transaction and is greater than 25. That means that more than 25th of that month, if the day. So then this is one condition. Then adjacent date INTNX. INTNX gives what? The date after interval. Okay. So basically again month, transaction date, and 1 month ahead. Else the adjacent date equal to transaction date. Simple. not much complex. Okay, it should be easy. So if day, two conditions, if day is greater than 25, push to next month, otherwise keep the same. Simple. Now let's only run this particular piece, so you can see the date. Okay, pretty much understandable. Okay, not much challenges. Any question, concern, please put your comment so that I can reply to that. Now let's talk about the tenure calculation. So whenever you have employee tenure, okay, so which is very common in real world scenarios, like calculating the tenure of the employee with the company, and also again we are using today function for that. I can use, because today function picks the date for today. So if you see this, so what I'm doing, I'm just using today function, like all those employee which joined my company on a certain date, I am seeing on the basis of year and on the basis of month using INTCK, that as per today, how much time they have spent with my company. And one thing to remember, today gives you the current date, and tenure means difference between joining date and today on the basis of years and month separately. Let's run this. So this employee has been working for 6 years, this is for 5 years, this is for 7 years. So this is the old employee. We should check his salary and then we should fire him. Okay, on like that companies are functioning these days. Okay, on the basis of month, these are the tenure. Okay, so jokes apart, now let's move on to the quick takeaways for this video. So SAS store dates as a number but display them using formats. INTNX is used to shift the date. INTCK is used to calculate the difference. Cutoff logic basically helps in business rule, and tenure calculation is widely used in analytics industry. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and in next session you will see more amazing SAS content. So thank you so much guys, all the best, and make sure you download this code from the description box. Thank you.